G'day everyone, Dr. Nick Yim, GP Harvey Bay.
I'm Mark McMurtrie, Pharmacist in Harvey Bay, and we've got a special guest with us tonight. This is Brody Schultz. Introduce yourself.
G'day everybody, I'm Brady. I'm a dietitian, sports dietitian, nutritionist, exercise physiologist and exercise scientist.
That was way longer than all of us.
Yeah. I'm in the limelight already.
There you go, right.
You guys maybe sit in the middle though.
Yeah, that's right. So welcome back to another episode of the Dispensary channel. This is episode 6. We're bringing you weekly updates for health professionals with product reviews and keeping your finger on the pulse. So maybe we'll just recap quickly. What did we talk about last week, Nick?
Yeah, thanks Mark. So last week we spoke about smoking cessation. I think we spoke about some tips of how we can stop people smoking.
Yep.
Along with some drugs that we can use to help prevent people smoking as well. So if you want to recap from that, have a click somewhere in the link or subscribe. Mark does his magic.
That's it. I'll do my magic.
But tonight, what are we going to do?
We'll do a quick chat with Brady about weight loss. I think this is a great topic. We won't do a wine review tonight, but we'll do a quick product review. So let's get straight into it. We'll keep it short for everyone. Hot topic, weight loss.
So I think weight loss is one of these things where I think most statistics show that over half of the population now in Australia is either overweight or obese.
Right.
So I think
About
that's
60 to 70%.
Oh,
I think.
really?
Yeah.
Wow,
It's
okay.
going higher and
So
higher.
much higher. Yep. 50.
And we all know that obesity can lead to a lot of other comorbidities and diseases such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, stroke, etc., etc. But one of the big difficulties as a GP is how do we convert that person to realise that they are overweight and then actually losing the weight? And I know a lot, we do refer to dietitians, exercise physiologists, but what do you guys actually do?
Yeah, really great question.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's probably coming back to the client. Does the client want to, do you even want to release weight? If you want to release weight, we're here to help. And we're here to make a change. And I think it's really important that us as a team need to work together to support you to be able to get the results. Because at the end of the day, if you want to get the results, we're all here to make that happen for you. The dietitian basically will talk about food and how do we strategically suit food to your lifestyle. So it's not just about saying, here's a meal plan, go do it. We look at you, we look at what fills you up, what foods you like and don't like, and we modify your food style and maybe give you an eating plan to help direct you and guide you on what might be the best things to have to help keep you full and actually give you some results.
I think that's interesting because that's what I've found in the pharmacy setting is there's no one shoe fits all. It's different for everybody. I mean, at the end of the day, I still tell people, if you want to lose weight, you have to burn more calories than you eat. It's easier to say that, but a lot stems from that. And a lot stems from part one is burning more calories, and what stems is from eating less calories, right?
Which is really interesting, that whole energy in, energy out. To be truthful, yes, that does apply. Mm-hmm. If you eat more calories and you're not as active, you are likely going to gain weight over time. However, on the other hand, if you do lower your calories to a certain level and increase your activity, there should be successful weight release. There can be a couple other factors, some hormonal regulatory issues that Dr. Nick and other docs will talk to you about and help you out with. That could be an issue, but that's a very small percentage of people that actually truly experience those. Honestly, it's usually just a modification to food and also exercise. And I think that's a really important thing. Like everybody's like, oh, I just got to exercise more. Look, at the end of the day, if you're walking 30 minutes, 60 minutes a day and you're not getting weight release, it's not your exercise, it is the food, and we've got to modify that. And vice versa. If you think you're doing a really great job with your food and not getting results, but you're not as active as you know you need to be, maybe we need to be focusing on that. Yeah. But it is multifactorial. We need both the activity and the nutrition working together to give you the lifestyle that you're looking for, hence eventually the weight that you're looking for.
Definitely. I think one interesting component that I often speak to my patients is they often want to know, they've tried everything, they've tried diets, they've tried everything, I exercise 30 minutes a day and I still keep putting on weight. Obviously.
So can I just say that's 9 out of 10 of my customers.
Right.
They say they've tried everything and they're still not doing it. It's not achieving anything. Go on with
Yeah,
that.
and it's something where, and I agree with you, Brody, where often there are a very, very small percentage of people that might have a thyroid issue or an endocrine issue that might be the cause of that weight gain. But the majority is essentially the calories in, calories out. But are there any particular ways that we can do this that's more effective?
Yeah, certainly. I'm really glad you mentioned that. And I want to give potentially an example of a really, I suppose, far-in situation. I used to work at the Park Centre for Mental Health, so it was at that time Queensland's largest tertiary mental health facility, and clients were taking atypical antipsychotics. You guys will know more about them than I do. Like, is it clozapine, olanzapine, and those type of things. And so the propensity for the body to gain fat, the consumers would gain weight so quickly. However, if they modified their lifestyle, even those guys got changes.
Wow.
They even released
there you go.
weight. And yes, sure, we had to tighten calories a bit more and get them to be a bit more active, but they still got results.
Wow.
So at the end, no matter which medication you're taking, there is still an ability for you to get weight loss. So what's the key? What's the trick? Look, there's so many things, but I want to give you one thing. Protein sufficiency during the day to help keep you full, and that spread of protein being quite important. Whether you're somebody who wants to do intermittent fasting or a shake diet or just eat healthy, whatever it might be, protein sufficiency is the same thing that underpins all of them.
Right.
And so when we look at protein sufficiency, whether you're a vegan, vegetarian, or somebody who wants to eat just a regular meat-based diet, that's okay. You just need to make sure you're incorporating enough protein within the day to help keep you full, satisfied. And you know what? If you're full and satisfied, you're not looking for other food. And if you are, that's a habit or behaviour that we need to change and modify. And then we can bring up some strategies and ideas of how we can potentially modify that to get results. But so protein sufficiency, what does that look like when I say protein to you guys? What do you think?
What's the well?
I'm thinking of a steak.
And that's the usual thing. Like, Mark, what do you think?
Well, exactly. And most people go, oh, okay, protein is meat, right?
So interestingly, let's say morning tea. I see people eat a sandwich for breakfast. They have a bit of bread and they put some jam and butter on it. You know, how much protein's in a jam sandwich? Oh, about that much? Maybe 1 gram or 2 grams, something. Hardly any. And then for morning tea, what do they have? Oh, a couple of bickies.
Right.
How many grams of protein in a couple of bickies? About nothing. And then lunchtime rolls around and they might have, I don't know, a couple, a sandwich with a bit of cheese on. Okay, there might be 5 or 6 grams of ham.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end of the day, if you take your weight, that's the amount of protein you approximately need for the day. So if I'm 70 kilos, I need 70 grams of protein. Now that's not 70 grams of meat.
Right.
That's 70 grams of protein.
Yep.
So for example, in a regular steak, let's say a small steak worth about 70, 80 grams, there's about 20 grams of protein in that.
Right.
Wow.
So just to give you an idea, I need 70 grams a day. So another idea, instead of, let's say, the piece of bickies or something for morning tea, we could have a yogurt.
Yep.
Maybe even one of those protein yogurts that have 10 to 15 grams worth of protein in. And I would guarantee that'll last you longer, hold you through a little bit better to lunchtime. And then by the time lunch rolls around, you're not as hungry, you probably have a more moderated amount.
Right.
You have some protein there. Then afternoon tea rolls around, and instead of having a couple bickies or a couple crackers, you might whip out a little bit more hummus on some crackers, maybe put a little bit of smoked salmon on there if you like salmon. If you're not that type of person, maybe some baked beans if you're a more vegan, vegetarian style way of eating. And then that'll hold you through to dinner, and all of a sudden, you haven't eaten the chocolates, the chips, and the lollies that you usually do in the afternoon.
So it's a shift in the diet, right? The problem I find with a lot of people is they have this mentality where, I've got to cut out. And as soon as you say cut out, they have this, there's a barrier of, I'm losing something, right? There's a deficit in my life. But I find it's a shift. And once they get through that first few weeks of understanding it and getting in the rhythm, oh, wow, this is great. I know for myself it was that way, and everyone is different. But that's what I found. The first 2 weeks, my stomach shrunk, so I wasn't as hungry as I used to be. And then once you're in that rhythm, it just, everything flows much easier.
If you take the focus to yourself on, hey, what am I lacking or what should I be having, rather than going from the point of view as, I shouldn't be eating chocolate. If you say to yourself, I should be having a yogurt in the afternoon. I should be having some crackers with some hummus and a little bit of cucumber on there, or a bit of cream cheese, whatever it might be. If you're saying, I need to have this stuff, then you're getting away from the whole idea of, I can't have this.
Yeah.
So you need to feed your body with good nutrition, stuff that brings you to life. That's one of the keys to helping you.
I tell a lot of my patients, sorry to keep cutting in on you, but I tell them that I think weight loss is 100% a mental game. No matter what strategy you end up with, if you are mentally committed to it and it works for you and you're happy with it, you will follow it, right? Because you're happy doing it. But if someone forces you into something or says, hey, you have to eat this, or you have to eat yogurt, and you go, I don't like yogurt, come on man,
exactly.
What are you doing? I don't know. Like, they have to find what works for them. And
Agreed.
It's the mental game.
Yep, agreed.
And the first 2 to 3 weeks is the hardest in that mental game.
Yeah, right.
It's setting that routine in place. It's, if you go back to when you're in primary school, high school, when you come back from school holidays, it's always the first 2 to 3 weeks to get that routine, getting out of bed. That's always the toughest.
It's quite interesting when you think about it, because what we're talking about is finding something that works for you, and there's lots of different ways to do it. To be honest, you could be doing the keto diet, you could be doing a shake diet, you could be doing the cabbage soup diet, you could be doing the cookie diet, you could be doing 1200 calorie diet. It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
All these things have one thing in common, and that is, typically in comparison to what you usually do, it's just a tightening of caloric content, no matter which one it is. And so we just need to find which macronutrient distribution in which dietary protocol is going to work best for you. Mark gave a good example. I don't like yogurt, or somebody doesn't like yogurt or has an intolerance. Great. What could we have instead? Let's maybe have a piece of fruit and some nuts.
Yeah.
Let's have maybe a protein muesli bar. You're not that hungry? Half a protein muesli bar. So many different things.
Yeah, so all I get out of that is you really should have a patient chatting with a professional or a trained health pharmacist or a dietitian, because they really need that long chat to sort out what's best for them. And I think a pharmacist should be very comfortable referring to a doctor or a dietitian, either or. And that way they get their plan, and they can't, because just throwing a product at them off the shelf almost never works.
And I like that point there, because obviously we as GPs, we often see people coming in and say, oh, I need a referral to see a dietitian, I need a referral to see an exercise physiologist. But in reality, people can actually make their own appointments to see a dietitian and exercise physiologist.
Yes.
You do not need a referral. Often people speak about the referrals are only people who have a chronic disease and are eligible for a chronic disease management plan.
So it's not cheaper for most people, but only if they're on a plan from the doctor, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
they must have a chronic disease.
Yeah, okay.
So majority of people who are maybe a couple kilos overweight, hypothetically, they're probably not eligible for a chronic disease management plan. Okay.
Yep.
So those are the group of people that can actually take their own initiative and speak to someone like Brody, who's actually an exercise physiologist and a dietitian, which is brilliant. Which is few and far between, but
There's not many of us anymore.
I mean, the pharmacist has to be willing to, and ready to know when to refer. And you can say to the patient, please, there's a great dietitian in town. I think it'd be great for you to pick up the phone and see if you can get an appointment with them. Instead of just saying, oh, well, let's just have a weight loss, whatever it is, off the shelf and see you later, right?
You know what I think is really cool? This is a brilliant idea. Let's say New Year's resolution, right? You're coming in, you're going, I want to be able to make some changes in my life. I've got an appointment with Nick or your GP. And you go and you say, Doc, I want to give this a proper crack. I've got this goal and this is what I want to achieve. I want to try and do it naturally, but hey, if that's not going to work, is there other stuff you can recommend, or what should I do as the next stage? Pull everybody in, because then if you're struggling with some parts and need some assistance, then the GP could recommend tons of stuff that I can't, and then Mark knows a whole lot of stuff about medications and how they work that I have no idea about. So if you bring everybody in as part of the team, we know what we're working with. So come to the GP, come to your pharmacist and say, this is what I'm trying to do. Mark will have a look at your medications and go, yep, nothing in here that's going to cause a problem. Because if you know that none of your meds are going to cause a problem, up here, what do you have? You're more focused.
Yeah, great idea.
You've got less excuses to why you can't achieve, because you know what? There is no excuse why you can't achieve. You can achieve it if you really, really, really want it.
Everyone can achieve. So let's move on quickly. Nick, what would you recommend? So let's talk about some of the non-lifestyle factors. If you had a patient that's tried a few things and you said, well, I think it's worth trying a medication.
Yeah, that's quite a good segue there, Mark. I think it's something where number one is always diet and lifestyle, because that's the thing that's going to keep them going for a long-term basis. But there are some products that are available on the market that can assist people with weight loss. Most people would know phentermine or duramine. That's quite common. Essentially, what that medication is doing is increasing the metabolic rate, but there is abuse potential for this medication. And I only strictly recommend this for 3-month use. Okay?
And gosh, it's expensive. You know, they have to be prepared.
Most of these products for weight loss are expensive.
So, that's it.
The other agent is liraglutide. That's relatively new. It's an injectable. Haven't had a huge amount of experience, but some of the data is coming out.
Seeing some great data out of that. I haven't seen a lot of scripts, mind you, but it'd be interesting to see.
Some of the old-fashioned ones still work. Allstat.
I'll tell you a story. No, I shouldn't tell you a story. It works, but just tell the patients some of the side effects. First-hand experience, it's not the greatest.
So how Allstat works, it inhibits the absorption of fats in the digestive system. So they might have a few interesting bowel motions.
Well, that's it. So it stops about 30% absorption, no matter what the dose. You can't overdose on it and stop all fat absorption, but what doesn't get absorbed into your bloodstream comes out the other end, and it's just an oily sleek that's not fun.
The other agent that I've learned recently is the combination of bupropion and naltrexone. That's been relatively big in European and the UK, I believe, and it I guess affects the central nervous system from the addictive principles. People who have emotional eating, similar analogy to say alcohol and cigarette smoking. This is where this medication.
So really only suits a certain subset.
I do think anecdotally the person who does have a BMI of say 40, 50, 60, to get to that stage, correct me if I'm wrong, Brody, there would have been a bit of addictive principles to get to that weight.
The lifestyle.
Likely. Very likely.
And besides the medications, we always have the final resort is bariatric surgery, and the evidence behind bariatric surgery is quite good. However, it is a major operation. So you've got the sleeve, gastric sleeve, you've got the bypass, and also the gastric band. And besides major surgery, there's risks involved. There's also costs involved for those who don't have private health insurance.
Yeah, it's huge.
But I believe in the pharmacy situation as well, and what we often recommend is what the old term is the shakes, and there's a few different ones in the market. So what are your thoughts and what's the evidence behind that, Mark?
So that's the pharmacy bread and butter, right? So let's cut to a product review and I'll talk about that. So I've actually brought along, this is my meal replacement option. I cleared my entire weight loss section just to put this one in now. And I don't know if many of you heard of it. Its brand name is Formulite. I'll put some details up on the screen, but
do you have any disclosures, Mark?
Disclosures is I sell it.
Okay.
Right? That's it. I don't have shares in it.
That's a pretty fair disclosure.
I sell it because it works.
There you go.
I think, Brady, you've had some experience using it and recommending it.
Yeah, sure. So in a lot of our clients going into bariatric surgery, we do anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks, depending on what the surgeon wants, of a Formulite prep period. And then post-surgery, bariatric surgery, whether it's a bypass or sleeve, we usually use Formulite continuing to help the person get sufficient nutrients within their body, but not only from bariatric surgery cases, but also people just generally trying to release weight, and people who are just like, I don't have time for breakfast, and they're skipping breakfast, and I go, no. But for you, we know that helps Because remember, it maybe not be for everybody, but for that person, it helps them get through the day, gives them enough energy. And so those guys, because they are so busy and they're outdoors so quick, a product like that can work beautifully.
So the trick, I think, for you, because you were mentioning protein through the day, is
Sure.
Formulite is higher in protein per serve than most other alternatives.
Yeah, certainly. And I think there's, even if you Google it, there should be an image that shows you the Formulite and OptiFast and OptiSlim and Kickstart and all the other products on the market, and they give you a nutrient comparison to be able to show you what it's higher in and what it's lower in, because there's a bit of a variation between all of them. But Formulite particularly is the highest protein meal replacement I know of on the market. So from a filling potential, keeping you full during the day, it does a really good job, particularly for those people who are quite active and doing things to keep their muscle mass a little bit more stable. Good product.
But what struck me is not only is that higher in protein, but what they cut out to make way for that is the lower carbohydrates.
Sure.
And I tell a lot of my patients that the problem with meal replacement shakes, and everyone's heard it, is once you stop, you're going to put your weight back on. Everyone hears that, right? They call it the Nike tick. I've heard a lot of people say it as that. But I tell my patients, I think the reason that happens is you haven't broken your sugar cycle. You've had this meal replacement which is high in sugar, and your blood sugar's still doing this. Hey, you're losing weight, which is great because you're still less sugar than usual, but your sugar cycle hasn't broken. And at the end of your diet, you come off and you still, hey, let's eat. And you're going back in that sugar cycle. That's my thought.
Mark, you bring up an interesting point, because really, if we're looking at any of the medications that Dr. Nick is going to prescribe, or whether we're putting people on a shake or whatever it might be, they're really just short-term strategies to be able to allow you to get used to all the changes that need to happen within your lifestyle, to then go continue those changes into the long term to keep your weight at the level that you want it. Because we do know from the research that if you take the medications or you do the shakes, whatever it might be, and go wholeheartedly, fully at it, and then straight away, as soon as you finish it, go back to doing exactly the same stuff as you used to, we know that your weight will rebound and potentially, the research shows, go even higher than it was before you even started. So you have to be sure that you want to make the lifestyle-based change ongoing. And I think pulling everybody in for the team, we make sure that that happens. And whether, you do have a chronic disease, and you do qualify for a Medicare Allied Health referral that the doctor can issue, that's great. You may be able to source dietitians, exercise physiologists, if you're financially a little bit strapped, who can, we've got some in the team who do that. But otherwise, Nick was saying before, you can just come see a dietitian, exercise physiologist, and you can just pay for it. You don't necessarily need a referral. At the end of the day, those lifestyle-based changes need to happen, and they need to continue in the long term.
That's some really important points there, Brody. I guess I know in my background as ex-pharmacist as well, it's something where you see a lot of products that's available, and often a patient or customer can go in and they look upside a wall, and you might see your shakes, you might see these vitamins that might help you lose weight. And they're quite expensive.
Exactly, but everyone's looking for the quick fix, right? And there's a lot of products that tout that. You just take my product and you'll lose weight. I don't think that's what I tell my patients. There really is. There's almost too much choice out there, but you really need to get down to the crux of it. Get some real good knowledge from professionals, and then get whatever works for you. I think that's the trick here. Is no matter which avenue you follow, if it's working for you and you can shift your lifestyle instead of just trying to have a quick fix, then it'll work.
Absolutely.
Right. I have an interesting question, just quickly, Brady. What would you say is a recommended course for a weight loss? Let's say it's a meal replacement shake. How long would you tell someone you have to be on that for?
I think it's individual, depends on the person and what their goals are and how much weight they would like to release. But to give just a general guideline, usually we start somebody off, depending on how aggressive we wanted to be, with maybe 2 or 3 meal replacements a day, depending if it's for surgery or just general weight release. And so if it's just general weight release, maybe 2 a day, and we might do that for a period until we get some really good results, maybe lose about 10, 20 kilos, and then from there start to taper off of the shakes and start to put in really good meal ideas and have the person knowing about 5 or 10 different meals that they can rotate through that are really satisfying to them. And then we're only down to 1 shake a day. Then eventually, if they're feeling really confident, we can remove that 1 shake and put other meals in there instead. Some people have such a hectic lifestyle and skip lunch that sometimes continually having the shake is an option. One of our dietitians in town has a client who is a medical specialist, and he finds it very difficult during his work day to be able to get lunch. And so what he does, one of these meal replacement shakes, has in the middle of the day and can go back to saving people's lives. How amazing is that? Where if he doesn't have any food, how important is mental clarity for a specialist when they're doing the type of work that they need to do? So at the end of the day, if you have the right type of tool and apply the right situation, it can do the right thing for you.
I think that's really important for all the pharmacists listening, is that's almost always dropped, is you will start a patient on a weight loss solution, but then do we really counsel them about how they get out of that and how they finalise at the end of their weight loss journey? I think that's not really well handled in the community setting. We're not really trained how to give them that end stage counselling and guidance. You as a pharmacist should really be telling your patients, hey, I've seen great results from what you've been doing. Do you know what to do next? And that's where you should be knowing. I think you should be telling your patients, now is the time to chat with the dietitian and really get that plan in place, right? That's all. That's my key take-home message for the pharmacists watching.
So I guess to wrap it up tonight, what's your take-home message, Brody, for the listeners?
Well, my take-home message would be everybody wants to be involved in your care to help you out, and everybody in your care team, whether doc, pharmacist, or me, or your ex-phys, or whoever you've seen, has their own opinions and views on how to successfully release weight. As a health professional, we need to be able to communicate with each other and be on the same page as each other to support you to get the goals that you're looking for the way that you want to get them. We don't want to pit each other against, we don't want to pit each of us against each other, because at the end of the day, whether the doc's saying no, don't eat fruit, and the pharmacist saying no, you got to eat fruit, and the dietitian saying no, you got to eat 2 bits of fruit, and the ex-phys is saying no, don't eat fruit. Basically, we got to try and get the best research out there to say, okay, well, actually, we do need you having a bit. Let's maybe do it like this. Let's choose these choices to be able to get the results you're looking for. And if you've got a client that says, oh, my doc said to do this, ask the question. Oh, why did the doctor say not to eat any fruit? Maybe there's a reason. And then you can work together with it, so you're not demeaning anybody, and you're involving everybody in the team, so we're all just trying to help the patient at the end of the day. So I think if we work at it like that, we can be a very effective team.
Yeah, great. Definitely. My take-home message is for weight loss, team-based care is number one, and that's incorporates the patient, exercise physiologist, dietitian. Obviously, the GP plays a part of the team, and also your friendly pharmacist. I think they're really, really important team members.
Psychologists, maybe?
Psychologists, absolutely. Yeah, don't forget psychologists. Yeah, absolutely. So team-based care, that's number one. For the GPs out there, number one thing, even though it's unlikely, but exclude any other organic cause that could be affecting the person why they can't lose weight. Consider medications that could also lead to weight gain, such as antipsychotics, and other medications that you could trial if diet and lifestyle has failed. And obviously, final resort is also bariatric surgery to consider. But the key component, team-based care and also lifestyle modifications, is number one for weight loss. Mark, anything else to add?
I think that's it for what I've got to add tonight.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brody, for coming on tonight. Always good to have a special guest on board. I'm sure most of the viewers get sick of listening to me and Mark sometimes.
Yeah, we'll bang on too much. We're going to bring more interesting guests coming up next year. For Finger on the Pulse tonight, I'll put up a little image of what's in and out. I'll keep it brief for you guys, but stay tuned and subscribe Please leave your comments below if you want to hear any more other topics, or if you've got advice, please, we'd love to hear it, and we'll share it next episode.
Beautiful. Thanks, everyone.
Catch you next time.